Hey guys, it's September now, so we're working on some fall fun. It's Ellen here, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to do some more watercolor postcards. Go over this step by step. I give a reference photo for this one, but we don't follow it to a T. And this one I show you easily how to make some fun, cute, simple fall trees. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Please also don't forget to hit the bell notification button to know my tutorials are up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Also, check out my Patreon. I have ad-free videos, traceables, exclusive tutorials on Thursdays, and live stream on the top tier, and a download from me. It's a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate so much. You can check it out up over in here. So, without further ado, let's jump into fall. Okay, so for this tutorial, I'm going to go over my supplies. I have a piece of Arch 100% cotton cold pressed paper. I taped it down with Scotch tape on just a thick piece of cardboard. It's a 4.5 inch by 6 inch piece. My paints in my palette, I go over them as I use them. I put them in the description box. Paper towels, water jars. I'll be working with Princeton 12 Neptune series brush and number 4 long round Velvet Touch series brush from Princeton. You can see this little practice one I did here. So this particular postcard, the first one will be the easier one to do. The second one a little more intermediate, but let's start off a little easy and loose. So we're going to take the Princeton Neptune brush, going to get some water on it. Going to mix up some cadmium yellow deep here, right? And some nice brilliant orange here. We'll take some magenta, put that over here. I'm going to add some yellows and browns to that, make them more on the red side. A little brown, burnt umber. And grab it again. So you want to get this nice red tone. Keep cleaning off my brush because I don't want to get the paint into the yellow. All right, good enough. And then we have some blacks and grays up here. I have a neutral tint up here, and I have black gouache. Play around with getting them loose here. And the brown, which is burnt umber here. I like to have them all ready to go, just so I can work fast. That's a neutral tint, and this is the black gouache. And even the yellow, stick a little brown in there, just to tone it down just a bit. You want a good amount of paint, because this is a big brush with a big belly. It's going to soak up a lot of the paint. So we're going to start by painting the leaves, right? So you see how I just have these kind of blobs looking, but it looks kind of cool. So I'm going to grab some yellow, grab some more. Not enough yellow, right? I'm just going to take the brush, just kind of make these marks like tapping little ones up here. And then bigger ones down here. You can grab some of the orange, kind of bleed that color into that color. I'm going to do another one over here. See, I'm just kicking the brush, kind of twisting it. We can put some bigger blobs down and little teeny ones up here. And a bigger blob. Grab some orange, I'll have it bleed into it. Grab some more yellow. This is the fun part. I'm just kind of blobbing it and bleeding it. You can grab some of the red that we mixed up. See how it's going to bleed into that. Grab some brown. See, I'm tapping the brown, the red. And more up in here. Grabbing some yellow. It's not going to look exactly like that, but I'm adding some brown up in the yellow up in here. A little more red down here. So I grabbed some magenta and just kind of put that in there, and some brown. Clean up my brush. You can get some of this really yellow, some, you know, if you want to splatter some of this, be careful not to get it everywhere. A little splatter. And grab a little more brown, putting it into here. Some of that orange. Okay, I'm going to work with this. So you can see it's fairly wet in some of the spots. Again, I'm going to clean up my brush. I'm going to start grabbing these browns and grays. So I have my burnt umber here. I'll grab some of that neutral tint and mix it with it. So it's a brown gray. I'm going to take off the excess water. We're going to start here and kind of lean it and then curve it into the tree blooms. Now I might have wanted to have the grass here, but because this is a lot taller, I'm trying to make this smaller. And grabbing the brown and the gray again. And I'll just have it go like this. You can grab another tree back here too. It's always good to have things in threes. See that? Using the tip of this brush right now, you can kind of pull some of the paint from the tree you just put down and just go right into it with the branch. See that? Same thing here. Up this way. You can grab some more brown and grab black brown if you don't have enough. I'm just going to pull it right into there. Now at this time, you can go and add some other tones. See, I'm adding a little brown in here. And I'm going to go grab some more orange colors and put them out here. Kind of meet them together. Just tapping it like that. Grab a little more brown. I'm going to variety. You can add a little more red also to this. It's going to bleed into the yellow, make it orange. Put some more red out here too. Basically I grab the magenta and just kind of blend it into the yellow. Just changing up the trees a bit. I noticed that this one has a little more brown, so I'm going to go add a little brown to this one. It will not be exactly like that. A little red, a little brown, but close enough. Adding a little more yellow. See, I'm just tapping the brush and making the leaves come out like this. Okay, so now it's all across. Now I'll mix up some green. So I got the peacock blue. I'll mix it right in with this yellow that I have here. Grab a little more yellow. Still using the big brush, by the way. A little brown. So it's kind of an olivey green color. A little more yellow. A little more brown. We can go and go across here. See, that one can be in the foreground. Grab some Prussian blue. Just kind of tap it in here. It's too much blue. You want to go and add a little hint of yellow, maybe a little brown. So you get that dark green tone right there. Just like that. Can add a little of the black tint. See, I'm going to kind of bleed some of that in here, right on to the branch. Actually a little too much. I'm going to take some off. So how I do that is I clean my brush, just grab it and lift up some of the color. Going back again. Right, we got 3 trees. Now, this time you can take your brush, if it's you can handle it using this tip, grab some of the screen and kind of wisp up some grass. If you feel it's too big because it's a small little card, take your number 4, grab this green. I'm going to mix some more yellow and brown to it, so it's like this kind of fall looking green brown, and make these little grasses. See, just going like this. Make bigger ones up front, smaller ones back here. Just making the grasses like this. If you can zoom in better. Yeah. See the little brush? Wisp, wisp. It's still very wet in here, but you can just wisp up some grass. This tree is in the foreground, so you can whip it a little bit bigger going from the front. Back here, but a little dark, smaller, and it's darker. I didn't paint the sky for a reason. So now I'm going to grab some of that gray kind of tones we made and add the branches with the teeny brush. See? Going in there. Still very damp and wet, so you want to grab, I have this neutral tint and I have my gouache. Minimal water, excuse me. And I don't want it so dark, so I'm kind of tapping on the paper towel. I'm just going to pull through some nice branches in between the little foliage. Peek some in, out, up top. There. This one's a little more dry, so you can play around with this one more. You can water the gray down and put the little branches peeking through the foliage. It's still damp, but when it dries, you can do even more cute little branches. I'll add some darker gray in here. See, little teeny branches. That's why it's good to have a tiny brush and a big brush. Just make all these little lines kind of connecting. Just like that. You can get a little bit darker again, still kind of down in here. Attaching up in here. I'm adding in some more concentrated color on this one. Don't want to fuss with this too much. This is a simple exercise in painting some fall trees. So I'm going to water this color down, kind of pull it down. And then the grass. So I've got that green, I'll add a little Prussian blue to it, a little brown, make it dark brown. I take off the excess on my paper towel. I can add some darker grass back here too. Just like this. And adding some browns, some blacks. So you see the shadow. Just like that. Once it's really loose, you know. And again, just do the same thing with the branches out here as they dry. Little teeny branches. Maybe a little bit darker as they get towards the foliage. But I'm going to grab and make little teeny branches up over in here. Now I want this to dry and we'll come back and we can add a few more like nice tiny little branches. Okay, so when that's dry, you go back in and grab your black, grays, whatever you have, and we can start to add in really teeny weeny. See, you can make it more predominant on this one. Crisscross. Just put out the little teeny lines. This is the fun part. I think it's very therapeutic. Again, add the little branches. Don't go too branch crazy. You can't help it sometimes, right? Just adding the little lines, peeking through. And if you wanted to, on the ends of the little teeny branches peeking through, you can add some more little tiny leaves. We're not going to get too fussy because we're going to go on to the next one. I'm just going and adding those little branches. I could spend all day doing this. Little branches. So remember that as you grab the little brush, mix up some yellows, oranges, and you can just take the little brush and just tap it like this and make the little teeny leaves up top and some down here. And you can put some like on the ground, like yellow orange. I didn't have that in this one, but you can have them falling on the ground. A little brown. Falling on the ground. Right, that's a simple tree tutorial. So now we're going to move on to the next one. Okay, so for this one, I have reference photo and I attached it to the description box. It's a Vermont, scene, which is like the quintessential place to be in fall. I haven't been there in a while, but I live close enough to drive. So we're going to start with doing the mountains and the sky. Going to grab some ultramarine blue. Put some down here. Going to grab some magenta and mix it in to get that purple kind of tone. More blue. Now we don't have to do blue sky. I think I'm going to keep the sky white. If I wanted to go back in, I can always add it. Rather just do the mountain kind of colors. So I've got this purple tone, the blue, and we're going to just put that. I'm going to add a little more blue actually. Where I see the mountain, I'm squinting my eye. I'm just going to put this purple tone. Now, you see how these have the foliage growing up here? I'm not necessarily going to, I'm going to take artistic liberty and not do that. I think it will just be too minute detail. I mean, it's nice detail, but it would make you crazy. And I know the mountain is a little more blue in this photograph, but we'll do some of it with the foliage. But I want to keep things simple, not too complicated. Grab that, put the little point, the peaks. Some more peaks down here. All right, so we're going to have to wait for that to dry in order to do the next mountain on top of it, because it will bleed right into it. So paint that one tone, and then we'll go into the other one. All right, so we finished painting that. We're going to get a little bit darker. So the same colors, just minimal water this time, right? Less water. I'm going to make this a little bit more blue. See that? Okay, I'm going to just paint that in here. I'm going to squint my eye and move it color. I added some water, as you can see, kind of blending it now. I'm going up my brush, and I'm adding some more water, kind of having that ombre kind of blending down here, because I'm going to be adding the colors. So now we're going to paint water around where the barn is and in here. So down here, around the barn, I've just got a nice wash of water to get it all damp. I'm going to be bleeding in color. If this got, I got a little dot up here, not good. I'll have to remove that. So I'm going to go back up here and kind of put that color up here. What's good is I can put the color back in See, it's all damp over here. And you can have it bleed down. You can have it lift up your paper and go like that, and it bleeds faster. Right, see how it's bleeding down? Just gonna lift up some of this water here. Okay. So we have that bleeding down. Like I said, we're just using this for reference. We're not gonna follow it to the T. So we're gonna grab some of our yellows. You get the reds, yellows, and you can start playing around with putting in color. And you squint your eye. You can put yellows, see, dots, yellow. It's going because it's so wet. And you get the orange. You see there's a lot of green with the green trees. Put this color in here in between. And then the red. Don't be afraid just to tap that color in like that. And there's a lot of color back here. Some yellow. If you use more concentrated color, like where it's hardly any water, it won't bleed as much. You'll bleed, but it won't bleed as much. And then for the dark green, I'm gonna have the dark green still mixed from last time. You see, like there's a line of green. You gotta squint your eyes when you're doing this. A line of green, kind of going across, like a yellow green too. You're just taking the tip of your brush and just tapping it along like every other space, and then tapping some in between here. So you're gonna squint. It helps to figure out where the green's in. There's green in between the colors. You're just gonna be playing around with adding yellows and oranges. Go grab some orange. And there's like a lime green over in here. Like a yellow green. Same thing down here. You play around with that. Add some of the red. Just so you get the general idea that it's, you know, fall next to the mountains. Adding on some more yellow. And some more orange. Just concentrate until you have this brilliant orange. Just going to tap that in around back in here. And the green. So I'll take some more of this peacock blue, mix it with the yellow, a little bit of green. Actually, there's a little orange tree next to the barn. I'm lifting up the color. Gonna put some orange in there. See, it's starting to look like the foliage. You're just tapping in a little color. Gonna grab some red. You can grab some browns, but that dark green too. You see the dark green? Those are those pine trees. So putting a little magenta in here. This is the fun part. Just putting in all the color. And we're gonna do the pine trees, don't worry. Gonna mix up some more of this light green tone. Put down in here. Now this is very damp and wet, so it's going to keep bleeding. It was fun, right? Putting all the color. And you get that dark green again. I get that Prussian blue with the burnt umber. And if I squint in my eye, I can see that it's all, there's a really lot of this dark color in this section here. Near the barn. Right? A little bit back here. Mostly it was light around the barn and then some green back here. That's how you play around with it. Then we have the light green in the front. There's a little beige part here, but mostly, grab some more yellow. Really bright. I think the photograph that I have on my paper, the printout, is a little too bright because just the way the photograph gets printed. So it's just bright green. Add some more yellow. Like this. Coming down. And then with some trees over in here. And there's some brown in between, so I'll just grab my little brush at this point. I'm going to grab the number 4. I've got the brown. I'll add some cadmium yellow deep to it, so it's like that yellowish brown color. And that goes in here. We're not making this perfect like the picture. We're just getting the sense of it. Add a little more brown. Back in here, and then we have some more colored trees in here. So the yellow, yellowish green. So I'm adding some yellow. A little bit of orange back here. Gonna have fun with this. A little brown. Gonna add some little bit of the grays back here. Give it some depth. Some brown. Okay, and then I'm gonna add a little more yellow around the barn. There was like a little road here. You could still add that. It was like a purple blue color. And then of course green back here. Taking my little brush so you can see, zoomed in. We're gonna deal with the shadows after this all dries because it will make a mess. But like you're just squinting your eyes, so putting some more yellow green trees here. Maybe a little more bright yellow. Can add a little orange to that too. Just kind of pushing that paint around. I think so. And yellow back here because we kind of lost the color around the barn. Taking the brush. Don't worry if it went into the roof because we can paint that nice deep color. Just making this really kind of simple. Squinting your eyes, you can add a little more color out here. Okay, I'm gonna add some of this deep dark green now that it's a little bit drier with a little brush. See that shadow? You don't have to follow this to the T though. See, I'm adding the dark green here. You can add little spots of it out here. And out here, back in here. We're going to use the same dark green too to make those pine trees. So this is pretty damp. We're going to have to wait that dries, but I'm going to go and add those pine trees in a bit. Just going to add some browns. So I'm just going to tap in the color. All right, so we're going to let this dry. It's a little too damp. See, it was bleeding. Don't want it to bleed like that. But, and then we lost some green up front. So I'm going to go back in and add some green. Just nice wash of bright green. Okay, so now at this point, I'm going to let it dry and then we'll come back and do our trees. Okay, so that's dry. We're going to make some nice dark green. I've got some Prussian blue. Grab some of this yellow. A little more umber. Kind of nice deep dark green. And then you're just going to make some of these pine trees. So just basically making a line down and little lines going across. Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. See? line down. You won't really notice it too much in some areas, but you might in some areas. See, you want those kind of pointy tops and some trees coming like that. You don't have to fuss too much with this, just in some areas. So you know it's the pine tree. Just a line down and squiggle back and forth. And that they're like peeking through the pine trees. They're trying to peek through. So the little tops, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You don't have to get too technical with that. It's just nice to add a few that look like real pine trees. You know, back here. All right, so we're gonna work on the barn. So I'll clean up some of my mess here. I'll clean up this one. So I use magenta and yellow to make my red. That's my yellow, magenta. A little more magenta to make a nice barn red. There we go. Just gonna fill this in. Fairly thick paint. I didn't really put a lot of water in this. Just so I have more control of it. Just a little red barn. Gonna add a little water to this one now. The side would be a little bit lighter. Than this side. We can go back in and add another darker shade. Now I'm going to add that gray blue roof. So I've got this neutral tint. Mix in some ultramarine blue. And we got the gray roof. Careful painting it next to the roof. I'm going to leave a little white line, which you can see in the photograph anyway. So separating the barn from the roof. And then add the little chimney. All right? When that dries, we can go and use some gouache and put the little windows in. But really, we're going to add some, at this point, we'll add that deep dark green up in here. A little shadow. I'm going to wash it a little bit. There's the road. Our green kind of blended out here. So again, we can go back in and add some nice bright green. Yellow and blue. Really peacock blue and yellow with this nice bright green. Just going back in here and adding in that color. Right up in here at the barn. I'm not going to fuss too much. All right, so I'm going to let that barn dry, and I'm going to paint the little windows. So for the little windows, I have a little bit of white gouache. I'm clean off my brush. If you don't have white gouache, maybe you have like a white gel pen, you can use that. Uniball makes a really good one. So we're going to just test this. Okay. We're just going to do little teeny windows, you see, kind of peeking on the edge here. And then the door. Gotta add a little bit more water. It's not moving the paint, so I gotta add more water. Too much water, it becomes translucent. Not enough water, it won't move. So I'm just gonna add the barn door and the line here. The window. This little line here. And there's a little shadow here. And I'll grab more of this tint color to fix that. You don't have to get too technical again. And then the road. A little shadow. So that's pretty much it for that. So let's see what we got. We're removing the tape from this guy. Just a little postcard. Ooh, I love my real-time videos, don't you guys? And then the other one, which we did the first one, I'll remove the tape from that one. Making so much noise. I really love it. See, removed all the tape. That one dried. This tape's a bit sticky, but I like it because it holds things down better and it doesn't have paint go underneath it. So these are a simple welcome to fall postcards. You know, a simple tree for the first one. You could have put a color of sky if you wanted to, but I just chose not to. And then we've got the little Vermont scene for the second one. So I hope you guys like this tutorial. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. Don't forget to hit the bell notification button to know my tutorial's up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I try to make things easy, and then we do some intermediate ones. Like I said, on Patreon, you could see the ad-free videos, and I have traceables there. There's no trace for this because I have a reference photo for that, and then we just kind of really just practice painting, having fun with this. Like I said, this is a small version of the one that I did. I can't find it now. Oh, here it is. See, if you get a little bit bigger, it's a little easier to manipulate, and this can be really cool, like framed, or you can make a big bookmark. So play around, guys, with your watercolors. Have fun. Don't stress about it. Just enjoy it. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.